Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel, and I'd like to welcome everyone back to this week's episode of Daki Time. Thank you for coming, thank you for clicking on these videos, thank you for coming and watching. I really do appreciate it. So this week's episode is thanked by Redemp. Red has basically asked that we take a look at the announced 8.3 patch notes, my thoughts on the Titan Forge being changed, and Nizam's visions of assault locations, etc, etc. So what I'm going to do, Red, I hope this is going to answer a few of your questions, is I'm going to break down Ian's post on World of Warcraft YouTube channel and on their website, obviously, about a couple of things that 8.3 is going to bring to Battle for Azeroth, what it really entitles. I'm just going to break down the key important notes here. I've written out a massive list of notes on my screen here, so I'm going to be reading through those so I don't get lost. I will give you my thoughts at the end and just what I think about 8.3 in general. So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive straight in, shall we? So, at the beginning of Ian's message, he basically thanks all the classic players. Now, I'm going to get this out of the road real quick because it doesn't pertain to 8.3 in particular, but he does mention that there are millions of classic players right now, and that he absolutely thanks them all, and that they are demanding more content. So, Dire Maul is coming actually within the next couple of days on Reset, guys. So, if you're in Classic and you have reached the 60 and you have gone through a lot of content, Dire Maul is going to be there for you guys to get nice loots. So, moving on to the actual 8.3 sort of juicy stuff. At the end of the Eternal Palace, we seemingly defeat Azara. Not kill her, but defeat her, basically. Ian mentions that at the end of that, we break the chains. We break the final lock that is holding Nizam, and that he is now free. But not just free, he's totally free. He says that the old god Nizam is at full power. He is at his fullest of strength, and that we are going to have to face off with Nizam at his full strength. Now, this is exciting because we've seen Cthulhu, we've seen Yogg-Saron, we've seen all these other old gods, but at a portion of their power. They are not completely strong. Nizam is going to be a very, very formidable force to deal with and a very strong enemy. So we're going to have to really dive in and take care of him. So that also leads us into the name of the 8.3 content, which is Visions of Nizam. So that is the next major content patch update. Now, my thoughts on this. Now, I did not get a time or date, but I mean, it will be just, I would assume, just after BlizzCon. So, just saying that out aloud. So, Ny'alotha, Ian goes on to say that Ny'alotha is a plane that exists alongside Azeroth. Now, we did know this from reading what the Shadowlands is and what Ny'alotha really is, that they are parallel realms that exist alongside Azeroth, and they are through a thin veil. Now, Nizam wants to break that thin veil down to, I would assume, unleash madness amongst the world. I mean, he is an old god. He, if you go back and read Chronicles, if you go back and read a lot of the lore, were sent by the Shadow Lords, I'm going to say. And look, they are there to do the bidding. They're there to break, you know, madness into the world and cause destruction and kill a lot of things, basically. So Nizam is trying to break down this thin veil. What Ian does say is that we will have to fight off against the minions of Nizam on the other side of this thin veil, from stopping them from taking down our Titan facilities. Now, these Titan facilities are the last defense, as he does say, the last bastion, the last bulwark that stops Nizam from fully breaking down this veil and coming into our world. So we're going to have to go into and defeat these minions and stop them as well. Now, what is very interesting is that Ian does say a few times that we must stop our Titan facilities to fail or fall in order to stop Nizam from fully coming into this world. This indicates that Nizam is on, or is in fact on the other side, or on the Ny'alotha side of this thin veil. This also means that if we do stop the minions from breaking into our realm or our plane, we will have to go to the other side to defeat or deal with Nizam. Or if we fail, Nizam will come to us. Very, very interesting. So How are we going to be doing this? Ian does mention that the assaults from the minions will come from a few different places, such as like Uldum, Vale of Eternal Blossoms, places where Titan facilities really are. I would also not be surprised if we go back to Northrend, say to Storm Peaks, where another Titan facility really is located. I had a quick look on a WoW Wiki about how many Titan facilities there are around Azeroth. And in fact, there are 60 total Titan facilities around Azeroth. Although, a lot of them are just small buildings, small structures. They're not actual massive Titan facilities. We've only seen and gone to a few of these, and I would only assume that there would be a few assault locations. And the reason for these few assault locations is because there's a couple of key Titan facilities. But not also that, guys, is that the assaults work pretty much the same way as the beginning of BFA and the beginning of Legion, with all the assaults that are led into the actual expansion, as well as the assaults from the Horde and the Alliance within BFA. So it's going to work very similar to a structure like that. So moving on, Ian does mention that Visions of N'Zoth is also a feature within 8.3. This is a system, a very much scenario system, that players from 1 to 5 players can take missions into the Visions of N'Zoth. This will take us to key locations around the world, such as Stormwind and Orgrimmar. This is a vision that N'Zoth basically, if I read this correctly, shows us about what happens if we fail. If N'Zoth breaks in and takes part of our world, if he breaks down that veil, if he comes into our plane. So basically, this is a scenario that we can enter. It works very, very, very similar to the withered training system. I guess is when you begin the Visions of N'Zoth, you won't get real far. Things are going to be extremely hard. You're going to have to start building up your defenses to actually move further on. This is a really good feature. I actually like this system. I liked the withered training system as a system as whole. So I liked how you had to progress your way through and you had to build up to clearing it completely. I didn't it would not feel as satisfying if you could go in and completely go from beginning to end in one big hit. I mean, the content would be over extremely quickly, but also saying it doesn't feel as satisfying as building up your defenses to progress your way through. So it's a really cool system. I think that doing the Visions of N'Zoth scenarios are going to be extremely fun and extremely cool to play. So the next thing Ian does mention is that Ratheon is back. Now, he is here to help us on a journey. Ratheon has always been this character that has sat straight in the middle ground, really. He's nor been friend nor foe. He's done a few great things. He's done a few things. Long story short is he's actually here to help us. And he's here to help us create a legendary cloak. Now, by the sounds of this cloak will help us move further into the Visions of N'Zoth. It also will help us defeat or attack or go up against N'Zoth later in the 8.3 content. Nor does he say when or where, but later on he does mention the raid. So the cloak is key. Now, I would not be surprised if the cloak has an Azerite system sort of built into it where we can choose traits. That wouldn't be a far-fetched idea, or somehow unlocking new abilities within the cloak. It does sound like that is what's going to happen, but long story short, guys, Ratheon is back and he is here to help, which is going to be interesting story arcs, and it's going to be interesting how he plays this, how Ratheon plays. So while doing the Visions of N'Zoth, we can pick up fragments within the scenario itself. These fragments we can take back to the Heartforge, where Magni and Mother will help strengthen our defenses. This allows players to use what looks like an old talent tree system to upgrade our abilities. Now, this reminds me of a Paragon system. This reminds me of, an old talent tree layout. And I like this layout. I like how we get to choose. But I do hope that we do not get the ability to fill this completely from top to bottom. I hope that we can only fill it partially. Now, the reason for that is it gives players choice. It gives them the ability to choose what they want to strengthen, and not just fill it out from top to bottom. If it was a simple, hey, you're gonna be able to get every single point into this new tree, I would rather like it being an unlocked system rather than a point system. And what I mean by that, guys, is I would rather as you progress through and as you get more fragments, it automatically just unlocks the next ability, the next talent, the next icon, rather than you just getting a point to dump into it, because it's not going to be as satisfying if you can fill it all the way out. I would rather players have the ability to fill out, say, 70% of it or 80% of it, and having a couple choices to make along the way. This would make it feel a lot closer to an old talent tree system, which would give customization to the players, and it would also give them the ability to feel like they are in control rather than it just being another on-rails system. So guys, that is another feature within the Visions of N'Zoth scenario, which is going to be extremely cool. So, Ian finally lets us know that the final raid will be Ny'alotha, the Waking City. Now, this is a raid I've been looking forward to very much since the beginning of Battle for Azeroth, where N'Zoth's name has been floating around. So, Ian does say that N'Zoth will be pretty much the final boss of Ny'alotha. Now, what he does not mention is that if this is going to be the final raid of the expansion, I would love to say that it is, because, well, 8.3 sounds like it's going to be the last major content update. But here's the thing, if we are going to go up against a fully fledged, fully strengthened old god, I would absolutely love it to be massive. I'd love it to be huge. I'd love it to feel like it is a massive fight or a massive undertaking. I would really hate if it was a simple boss fight or something easy to progress through. I would love it to be hard. I'd love the fight to be long. I would love Blizzard to really come out all guns blazing, like we know that Blizzard can. I would love this fight, this fight against a fully fledged old god, to be epic, and I really hope Blizzard do it, and I think that they will. So guys, as we move on, I'd just like to make point here that, and add something for a future video, that we are told that Azeroth is sleeping, right? That this raid is also called the Waking City. It is also called the City of Slumber. So I wouldn't put it past Blizzard to actually have Azeroth trapped within Ny'alotha, or within the veil of where Ny'alotha sits. This is probably not outside the realms of what Blizzard can do or what is, but would it not feel cool, and I will explain this in further detail, that we go into the raid, we defeat N'Zoth and all his generals and his minions, and basically we find that Azeroth is asleep within Ny'alotha, that N'Zoth has trapped her there. This sounds really cool to move on to 9.0. But guys, I will continue that sort of theory in another video, so hang tight for that one. So, one of the last things Ian says is that we are going to get 2 new allied races, which a lot of people are excited about. Even I'm excited for the most part. Is the Vulpura and the Mechagnomes are joining the Horde and the Alliance. Now, I will most definitely be playing part or all of this. I will definitely be creating the characters as, you're going to be creating all characters. The Vulpura, we kind of hinted and knew that were coming, and the Mechagnomes, once we dealt with Mechagon, we kind of knew that they were going to be in the game as well. But guys, I will be playing those. I'll be creating those characters and seeing what they're like, and seeing all their dance emotes and all their transmorgs and how they look on the characters. I think that Blizzard are doing a really great thing with the allied races. However, I do think there is a limitation to this, and I would rather see in 9.0 as an example, just going on a little bit further here, them bring out a very much new class or race within 9.0 rather than just extending the allied races. But that is just another topic and another story. So guys, 8.3 is going to come with the Vulpura and the Mechagnomes. You will have to get exalted with both reputations, and you will have to do a quest line as normal to unlock these allied races for your faction. Guys, Ian does go on to say some extra systems and UI changes, and he also goes on to talk about the new mythic fix for this new season. I will be talking about those in another video, especially the Mythic Effects. I want to talk and break down some Mythic information and bring that to you guys. So again, hang tight. I will not be covering it in this video. But guys, that is pretty much it. They're the key points of what Ian says in the 8.3. I guess you could call it a release trailer or a first look into what 8.3 is. Remember guys, we're not too far away from 8.3 going live. I would say it's only going to be within the next sort of 2 months, like within that bracket at least. So guys, thank you for coming and watching this video. I hope I haven't skipped over too many things. If Red, I have missed the topic. If I've missed anything, please let me know. Guys, thank you for coming and watching this video. Remember to follow me on YouTube if you want to keep up to date with what I'm doing. Remember, all the links to all my things are in the description down below. Remember, I am Twitch streaming a lot now. My Discord page is there if you want to keep up to date. That is the best spot you guys can find me on if you want to keep up to date with any news that I'm doing. So please join that. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming and watching this video. And until next time, everyone, have a great day.